Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with a A24 movie, um, The Front Room. Um, so
Good God.
me and D had seen the trailer for this film, and me and D were looking at each other like, "Yo, we got to see this shit," because the aspect of this movie from the trailer was just wow. Like you have Brandy, who hadn't been acting in quite a while, and she's in an A24 movie, which if you know A24, they make very not gonna say like
They make interesting horror movies.
interesting horror movies with different gimmicks attached to them and stuff. Like if you think to like what was it
The Invisible Man.
the Invisible Man, the Nun, that kind of well unless that's a different one. Either way, to Sue's point, they make interesting horror films and even interesting regular films too. Just prestige regular films, so to speak. So
I mean, I did, I did end up breaking my own rule, and I did see the trailer for this. So when I saw it, I was like, I'm interested in seeing this, especially from what the trailer showed. Bro, you got an old mother-in-law that was around during the age of the Confederacy,
who
is super hype, like super duper ultra Christian.
And she's being very much the mother-in-law from hell.
Yeah.
So the basic gist of the story is Brandy plays Belinda, who is married to Norman, and she's teaching at a college and she's going through some struggles trying to gain tenure and stuff and dealing with the usual schism that happens in society in those kind of situations and stuff. And they get put into a scenario where Norman's dad dies, and Norman's never really told Belinda about his family like that, and stuff, and clearly from their interactions they get along, but he's always held stuff back. So going through the will, at the funeral, they end up meeting up with Solange, who is his stepmom, Norman's stepmom, and to Norman's point, his stepmom was pretty much being a bitch to him from day one. And as soon as he hears Solange's name, he's like, shit,
He's like, God, is this inheritance even worth
now,
it?
we don't know how much money so the stipulation of this is basically
it was definitely life-changing money from wherever it was. No, but you're right. No set amount was ever said.
But to the movie's credit, they implied it. But basically, the crux of it is, as he's reading through his dad's will, is essentially, hey, you will get this inheritance if you take care of your stepmom and house her. So their initial trepidations of it was like, fuck no. But then as the number gets written down on a piece of paper and it slips to him, Norman and Belinda look at each other like, oh, we need to do this because this will save us, because they're going through the typical newlywed financial troubles and stuff.
Newlywed with a baby on the way.
With the baby on the way. So this will help them. And prototypical of movies like this, on one hand, the movie does hit the mother-in-law is an asshole tropes. But then the movie also does something very unique that bucks the trend of something of this film. It has a lot of ideas that it brings to the forefront that you think they're going to expand on, and they don't. But it's implied, and I'm fine with that. And I think a lot of people going to this film are going to like presume certain things as you're watching it, and it's like, no, just keep watching it.
Yep.
Just keep watching it. Don't assume anything. And I think that was probably the reason why I enjoyed this film a lot, because every assumption that I thought was going to happen in the movie just pushed back on it immediately. In the next scene, it's like, okay, well, I guess we're not going anywhere with that. Cool. And like I said, it was a good thing. I
was like, well, this took a sharp turn to the left.
Shout out to Brandy. I loved her in this movie. Again, she hasn't been acting in quite a while. So Brandy is one of those people that, like, when she got into doing movies, it was really hard to get a gauge on how good she was. Cause it's like, all right, the last movie that you did that was a horror was what I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which, I mean, you were fine in. You played a typical teenager in a slasher flick. So,
now for me, her performance in this movie was great. Like, I enjoyed all of her screen time, because you felt like everything that she was going through, and and it just made sense. Like the whole time I'm rooting for her, I was like, I was like, God, please.
Oh,
I was like, please, can we get some happiness for this woman?
oh, she was going through it. It's not enough she's dealing with the schism at her job. She's dealing with the schism from the mother-in-law. Like that shit was, and it was funny. It was the funny kind of racism where I'm like, yo, she does what most like older Southern whites do, where it's like very blunt about the racism, to where it's like, I expect you to do that because you look how old you are. Of course you're gonna say that shit. Like
it's not even,
you know what I'm saying? Like
it's not even that. It's not even that, Chris. Like, see, for me, Solange played that. She played that good old like that old Southern racist stereotype of where, you know how you call out like a Southern racist and they make you feel bad for calling them out for being racist.
Like, why'd you call me racist? I'm like, because you are racist. Like when she bust out the fucking Confederacy certificate, and she was like, it's when she hits Belinda with it's about heritage, and Belinda was like, get the fuck out of my face with that heritage shit. Like, get out of here. Like, come on. Like, but again, it's funny because that's how a lot of older Southern whites are. They very much, that Confederacy flag is like heritage. I'm like, what heritage? It ain't my heritage.
I was like, stop it. I'm like, you in my house waving that flag.
Is it her house? Because because Solange.
We're not gonna get into that.
All I'm saying is, in Solange being the mother from hell, she definitely pulled the whole look at me, I'm the captain now a couple of times. And I'm like, bold of you to do that, ma'am. Bold.
It was a whole lot of bold move cottons, okay?
Yeah. As much as the trailer gives off it's a horror movie, it's really a suspenseful movie.
Yeah, it is. This is a straight up suspense.
I was expecting it to be a horror movie. That's why I thought it was. And I think that's probably why I enjoyed it, because it really kind of switched it up on me in a way. I was like, oh, so this isn't really a horror movie. It's just a suspense. All right, cool. I'm fine with this. This works and stuff. But yeah, this movie, like first off, shout out to Catherine Hunter, who plays Solange. She played the hell out of an old lady, a crotchety, racist old white lady. Perfection.
I mean, 2Cane action.
2K, yo, it's the 2 Canes. This shit, I'm like, bro. Because if you ever watched a Harry Potter movie, she was Elba Fig in those movies.
Oh, that's what she was.
Okay. Yeah. She was in those movies and stuff. I mean, she's a Brit, so I expect. Of course, she was in Harry Potter. She was in Andor too. She was actually really good in that show. But yeah, she. Funny enough, she's actually going to be in another movie we're going to see later this year, Megapolis.
Okay.
So, yeah, so she's just like our boy Sir Patrick Stewart. She's a thespian.
I also gotta ask, like, how did they get Catherine to look, to look the way that she looked in this movie? Because
the makeup was,
bro, the makeup and everything. Because she's only 67.
Yeah.
Yes, she plays like
every bit 80, of an 80, 90 years old,
90-year-old woman. That is some acting, bro.
I mean, yeah, because I'm looking at her right now, like she looks like a 67-year-old, and they threw a ton of makeup on her to get her really looking old as shit, which I think is great. Like, I mean,
I'll tell you this: the thing that always had me laughing was every time Solange knew that the coast was clear, she hits that wink on Brandy.
When they did that in the trailer, I already knew. See, that was the thing that got me. That's the thing that got me. That's what got me hooked on wanting to see this movie. Was like when the trailer showed, it's like, oh, so we're doing the whole mother-in-law from hell. And when they show in the trailer, just like to show this movie where her son, her stepson is picking her up, and she looks back at Brandy and winks. I was like, oh, it's one of those movies. Yes.
And see, this is why I really want to call this movie more of like a suspense comedy.
Yeah.
Because I spent more time laughing at this movie than like not so much scared or being creeped out. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some real disgusting moments in this movie. Not gonna say what, you just got to see it for yourself. Man. But when the comedy hits, oh my god, it hits.
I mean, you know what's interesting? Both directors, Max and Sam Eggers, did the movie we podcasted on, the Lighthouse.
Yes.
So if you look at the sensibilities of this movie and you think back to the Lighthouse, it's like, well, that tracks. I mean, look, we talked at length on the podcast about the Lighthouse, like the moment where he's swinging the chicken around. Just that's like comedy. That's just like, what the fuck is happening here? And that's what this,
like, why is he doing that?
and that's what this movie has. It has
that chicken did nothing to nobody.
And that's the type of comedy this movie has. This movie has that type of comedy where it's just like, yes, there's funny comedy that's just up front because of what the characters do. But then there's the visual comedy where I'm like, I didn't expect that, but that is hilarious. So, hey, for them, this being their first time actually directing the film, I gotta give them credit. Like, this is actually pretty good in their wheelhouse. I'm kind of curious on what they're gonna do next, because I think Lighthouse and this was like they're pretty like two films that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, I would definitely, we talk about A24. Yeah, they did Civil War. Yeah, they did Civil War.
They did do Civil War.
I forgot all about that. Yeah. Because I think last year, I don't know if you watched it, but I know me and D watched it. Talk to Me, which is a good horror movie.
I did see Talk to Me.
Yeah, that's actually a really good movie. That's actually a really good supernatural horror movie for sure. Mm-hmm. Civil War, that's a one-time watch for me. I ain't watching that. What kind of American are you? I'm like, all right, dog. Like, Iron Claw. That's the other movie I saw this year from them. About the Von Erichs.
Yeah. I got to see that one.
Yeah, it's actually, dude, it's sad as shit. Yeah, I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you already know about the Von Erichs anyway. So the movie really hits you at the heart, at the strings. And the funny thing is, like the Iron Claw movie, there's some things about the family that they didn't even put into the film, but I think if they put it in the film, it will really hit you on the heartstrings on what happened to that family. So yeah, it was, yeah. So look, A24, they've been on the roll this year, and last year and stuff with a lot of their material. So I mean, hey, good on them, man. They got, I think they have another hit on their hands with the Front Room for sure.
I mean, I've seen what's been happening right now with with this movie kind of getting I want to say mixed to positive reviews so far. I know it's sitting at like 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Really, if you just suspend your disbelief and just take the movie for what it is, and again, you're going to be laughing more at this movie than being scared.
Part of me feels it goes into what I said at the top, where I think people had an expectation of what they thought the movie was going to be, and they felt some way that the movie didn't do those things.
Right. Basically, don't come in with the same expectation that you had for Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, because it's like, that's why I say I feel this movie bucks all the trends that people expect out of these kind of films, and it ends up kind of making people like, oh, well, this movie didn't do this, so it has to be terrible. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would definitely go check this out for sure. I mean, it's worth your time. Why not?
So. I agree. I enjoyed it. Definitely go see it.
Yeah. So, at any rate, we will catch you guys later. Peace.